Nigeria's telecom operators have announced that they are developing new tariff pricing structures to align with the 50% increase sanctioned by the Nigerian government through the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. Alton Chairman Gbenga Adebayo stated that the tariff adjustment is necessary to ensure the sustainability of the telecom sector.
And here's what you should know about this development. Although the NCC indicated that the 50% tariff increase approved for the operators on 20th of January 2025 will take effect in February, the service providers said they will fully implement the new prices starting in March. In response, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have shelved the protests aimed at urging a reduction of the 50% increase to approximately 5% due to government intervention.
As the debate over the telecom tariff hike continues, the announcement of its implementation soon has left many Nigerians bracing for the impact on their daily need for communication. This morning on Breakfast Central, we're joined by Gbenga Adebayo, the chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators of Nigeria, Alton, to further dissect matters arising from this development. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, when Nigerians hear of an increase, it's always met with apprehension, an increase in anything, because it just feels like in the past 2 years, that's all we've seen, an increase in the cost of living, increase in pump price of petrol, increase in electricity tariff hike, and now Telco has joined the conversation. So are you experiencing any of the apprehension that Nigerians are feeling towards this, and how would you be able to address that?
And was this necessary?
Yes, we are feeling the apprehension of the people. We are within the same economic headwinds like other sectors of the economy. We feel the same pressure as other sectors. And our request for sustainable pricing is a survival mechanism for the sector. We came to a point where operators could no longer continue to guarantee service availability because of the prices that they were charging, which is way below cost. It was like producing a service at 160 naira and selling at 100 naira. There's a limit to which you can substitute this differential. And so for the industry to remain sustainable and continue to be that critical infrastructure that we require for driving the entire economy, it's very important for us to look at our pricing as one of the mechanisms for survival. So I think it's been more of an attempt to sustain the sector, an effort to sustain the sector more than for profit motives. And I think that speaks to the larger problem of the society where cost of energy has gone up, cost of all input has gone up, foreign exchange is what it is. And for a sector that have not had any review in more than 10 years, it's only appropriate at a time like this for reasons of sustaining the sector that we price right. And that is what the regulator has done to approve our request for review of tariff to reflect cost. You may also note in the conversation that our demand was way higher than 50%. Government in its wisdom has considered looking at all the variables and saying that start with a 50%, let's see where we get to, and we'll see what
starts.
Yeah.
Meaning that we should expect further increment.
If the dynamics if variables are not constant, we might come to another request for review. The reason is that we are facing basically the same trend of inflation as other sectors of the economy. We have foreign exchange obligation because we are one network on all networks. We connect to all other international networks and gateways. We have suppliers and services that are denominated in foreign currency. And when you have the significant movement we've had in our forex, it also affects an impact on our ability to pay those bills. So in order not to compromise our existence as an industry, it's very important that we price right. And I say it again as a matter of emphasis that tariff is best left to market forces. It should not be micromanaged by government. It should not be regulated or controlled by government. Just let the market dynamics play out and let prices be right. And that's why when the cost of tomato in the open market went up, there was no consultation because cost of input went up and the sellers decided to adjust their prices. When cost of transportation went up, 2 years ago, the cost of buying an economy ticket today, Lagos, Abuja, a 1 hour flight, it's cost of buying a business class ticket in a year ago. It's the cost of buying an economy class ticket today because the cost input to aviation services has gone up. So correspondingly, the market prices have to move. And so we are in the same...
The Nigerian Labour Congress currently put its planned strike on hold. They are proposing a 5% increase. Others have also said, you know, telecommunications should be considered essential service like water and power and should enjoy some sort of government subsidy. We do understand the plight of the telecom companies. You're there to make your profit-making organization, but at the same time, you're going through all this inflationary pressures and you have foreign exchange obligations, like you rightly said. What would be a humane face to this, a humane type of solution? Do we go for subsidies? And what would be a middle ground for
I
the
think,
Labour and, of course,
yeah, you see, it's a logic of cost and effect. The effect is a review of tariff. There are causative factors leading to this, particularly issue of inflation and other trends in the global economy. That's what is leading to this. So if you say there will be human, I think the human face should address the causative factors and not the effect. The effect, I mean, what we're talking about today is actually the effect of a lot of other things that happen in the economies. And we appreciate the concern of the labor movement for what they have said and what they are doing. We also thank them, at least, for considering that it is important to look at the numbers again. But the fact remains that we are not the address for the Labour Congress. The address is actually government, because it is policies that led us to where we are. So if there is actually a point to take the battle to, it's actually to the doorstep of the government. And thankfully, our minister, our regulator, and the secretary to government and the head of national security advisor to the president has intervened on the matter. And they are talking to Labour in this matter, in this regard. And we hope that within the next 2 weeks that they have said that they will look at the numbers again. And I hope that even the justification will be for more than 50% and not less than 50%, because you recall that when they say somebody requires oxygen to survive, let's measure it in liters. And somebody requires 100 liters of oxygen to survive. And the doctors say, administer 50%, let's see his recovery. Mm-hmm. And then you are coming to say, let's give him just 10%. You know what the implication will be on life. So we come to a point where, as an industry, there's a minimum to which we require to survive. And I think we have received just the barest minimum that we need to survive.
In the past few years, would you say that the government has been in any way subsidizing some of the costs that telco has had to incur in being able to survive, you know, and not collapse? Not
at all. We don't rely on government subsidy. We don't request for subsidy from government. We are private investors. We are private people. We are investing using shareholder funds, and basically we face the global economic trend. So we are not one of those industries that goes to government all the time for subsidy, for intervention and all that. We operate solely on shareholder funds and private sector funds.
Oh, great. Yeah. Now, Mr. Adebayo, let's talk about infrastructure and service quality. You said that the tariff hike will sustain the industry and it will help improve service quality and infrastructure. So what should Nigerians expect from this increase when it's implemented?
First, we are going to now go through a process of recovery, because we've been in fairly deep holes as an industry. We need to reactivate and re-energize systems. We need to upgrade and update new softwares. We need to invest in new hardwares. And that will take a bit of time. But gradually, we're addressing the quick wins to bring about improvement in quality of service. But ultimately, this will attract more investment.
I remember talking to a public affairs analyst recently on this issue, and he mentioned shared services. That why is it that every telco needs to have the same base station? That is it not possible to share with other networks? Can you educate us on that? And he said the chief executives of these telcos, they fly business class, and they have very fat salary packages. That why do Nigerians have to pay the cost of their lifestyle?
Well, that's not correct. I'm sorry to say. In the first instance, we are co-sharing and co-locating as an industry. We actually have members of our group who are actually co-locating companies. We have a number of the infracos, and we call them infrastructure companies, who own infrastructure and they lease the site to multiple players. So actually, when you see one telecom site, it may accommodate more than 2, 3, 4 players. So the issue of sharing infrastructure already exists. There's actually an industry policy on infrastructure sharing, which we're embracing, and significantly so. But you see, it's one industry, and we're all in the same boat. So if the boat is sinking, It will affect all passengers in the boat, including the pilot, including the driver and the captain and all that. So it was the industry that faces the significant economic headwinds, and there is no isolation of any component member of the sector. And that's why we talk about the sustainability of the industry and not the sustainability of an individual company or a particular company in the sector. On the issue of people flying private jets, I don't know about that because I just gave an analogy of how much business class cost a year ago and how much economy. I know so because I now fly economy instead of business class. I know it. And I know also a number of my colleagues, all of us now struggle for seats in the economy class because that's basically what we can afford. And if you talk about our industry not being sustainable the way it is, people cannot keep high costs actually. So that analogy of someone saying that people are on fast rides and all that, it's not right.
Okay, so how do we find, and honestly, your reasons for telco wanting an increase, they're valid, right? Everybody's feeling the pinch. But is there a way that we can find a balance between people's ability to afford this? Because we are still an economy where minimum wage is 70,000. In fact, even me saying it's 70,000, some people, our YouTube comment section, I will soon start seeing people saying nobody's getting 70,000, we are getting 35,000 and the likes, because not every state has been able to enforce that. But everybody, we are all connected by the services that telecoms provides. So people who are still struggling to make ends meet, who are still struggling to pay transport fares, struggling to get food, how do we balance the very valid need for the telecommunication costs to increase and the also very valid need of the average Nigerian to be able to make ends meet?
That's why there is the need for us to maintain and sustain the industry, because we are the transport access for a number of other sectors of the economy. I'll give an example. If you have to make a trip between Lagos Island and Lagos mainland, you take an economic decision. Should I call or should I visit? You have to attend a meeting in Abuja. You take a business decision. Should we set up the meeting virtually or should we congregate in Abuja and meet in Abuja? And so that infrastructure that provides alternative ways of getting better solutions, getting better delivery, is our infrastructure. And we all must allow that infrastructure to continue to survive, to be able to drive other sectors of the economy. So I would say, whilst we note the critical nature of the services that we provide, we also must recognize that it is the superhighway on which other sectors of the economy thrive. And we must allow that highway to remain throughput, to remain in good state, in good health, so as to be able to continue to be the driver of other sectors of the economy. So we can't subsidize people's impact on other areas of the economy with our services, because we are the gateway and the highway on which other infrastructure rides.
And it's typical essential service, basically. Now, given the competitive nature of the telecom industry, will operators have the flexibility to set their own rates, or will they have a standardized approach to pricing once this tariff change comes into effect?
We set the rates ourselves, but I put the regulator to manage it. Regulators don't determine market rates. We are a regulator to say this is how much the service costs us today to provide. Can you approve that we can charge? The regulator will conduct what they call cost study, look at all of the elements that make up the performance of an efficient operator. And then they would say, okay, this is the minimum band, this is the highest band. So all of you can operate within this band. So if you decide to price low, you can price but not lower than this for reasons of competition. You can price but not higher than for reasons of competition. And that's the role of the regulator. So the mechanism to managing that already exists with our regulator. We just approach the regulator with the request to review prices, and regulator will use the mechanism and instrument of determination that they have to determine where the price should be. And so putting the issue of price determination or price fixing on our regulator is certainly not right, because regulator does not fix the prices. Prices are left to market forces to determine, but regulator has the mechanism for managing it within the index, the economic index, and the variables of the market.
All right, so I mean, as we wrap up the conversation, when are we expecting this increase to take place, and what will the structure of the increase look like?
Well, We have approval for 50% review on our current rates. So what it means is that whatever you are paying now, whenever the new tariff regime sets in, it will be a bit more. By
so 50%. If I pay typically 20,000 for my internet for 120 gig, meaning I should expect to start paying 30,000.
Thereabout, something in that region. And also, we're also simplifying our tariffs. Part of what the government has requested is that we made the tariff simpler, easier for people to understand and to interpret. And also, we're under obligation to deliver better quality of services. And so, the price regime, new price regime, we are following out the regulatory process of getting the final approvals. And once that comes through, people will start seeing
in March?
Reduction, maybe way before.
And can you guarantee Nigerians that once this tariff comes into place, they will stop? It would improve the quality of the calls, drop calls would be a thing of the past, and service quality.
We are going to work intentionally in improving quality of services. Given all the challenges of our operating environment, we'll do the best that we can to have the right investment, to deploy the right technology, to deploy the right solution to guarantee good quality. It's something that we are committed to. The part of the directive that the regulator has now given that with the new price, we must deliver better quality of service. And
if we don't get the better quality of service, if it still remains at the level
I will be here again to answer your questions.
We'll hold you accountable to your words.
Very well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benga Adebayo, Chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecoms Operators of Nigeria, Alton, for joining us on Breakfast Central. We do appreciate your
Thank you for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Nigerians, fasten your seatbelts, brace up, because it would seem that this increase is most likely coming your way, whether you like it or not.